Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Pahimam. The Advent of Lord Krishna, Chapter 1, Krishna Book. Once the world was overburdened by the unnecessary defense force of different kings who were actually demons what were posing themselves as the royal order. At that time the whole world became perturbed, and the predominating deity of this earth, known as Bhumi, went to see Lord Brahma to tell of her calamities due to the demoniac kings. Bhumi assumed the shape of a cow and presented herself before Lord Brahma with tears in her eyes. She was bereaved and was weeping just to invoke the Lord's compassion. She related the calamitous position of the earth, and after hearing this, Lord Brahma became much aggrieved, and he at once started for the ocean of milk where Lord Vishnu resides. Lord Brahma was accompanied by all the demigods headed by Lord Shiva, and Bhumi also followed. Arriving on the shore of the milk ocean, Lord Brahma began to pacify Lord Vishnu, who had formerly saved the earthly planet by assuming the transcendental form of a boar. In the Vedic mantras, there is a particular type of prayer called Purusha Shukta. Generally, the demigods offer their obeisances unto Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by chanting the Purusha Shukta. It is understood herein that the predominating deity of every planet can see the Supreme Lord of this universe, Brahma, wherever there is some disturbance on his planet. And Brahma can approach the Supreme Lord Vishnu not by seeing him directly, but by standing on the shore of the ocean of milk. There is a planet within this universe called Svetadweep, and on that planet there is an ocean of milk. It is understood from various Vedic literatures that just as there is the ocean of salt water on this planet, there are various kinds of oceans on other planets. Somewhere there is an ocean of milk, somewhere there is an ocean of oil, somewhere there are oceans of liquor, and of many other types of liquids. The Purusha Shukta is the standard prayer which the demigods recite to appease the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. Because he is lying on the ocean of milk, he is called Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. He is the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through whom all the incarnations within the universe appear. After all the demigods offered the Purusha Shukta prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they apparently heard no response. This Purusha Shukta prayer we can learn. I was in Chicago when Prabhupada installed the deities of Gaur Nitai for several bus parties of Tamal Krishna Goswami and Vishnu John Maharaj. And at that time, there was one devotee who was reciting the Purusha Shukta. Sahasra Sireka Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumi Gung Sarvatasa Pretadvyatyatista Dasangulam. Many prayers. And Prabhupada said at that time, our devotees should learn to do like this, to chant this. Purusha Shukta and Vishnu Sahasranam, he was also chanting. And this is something that we can learn. It's not difficult. There's North Indian style, South Indian style, whatever you like, and you can learn to chant. Isn't it, Prabhuji? You know this mantra? Yeah, Brahmachari. Very good. After all the demigods offered the Purusha Shukta prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they apparently heard no response. Then Lord Brahma personally sat in meditation, and there was a message transmission from Lord Vishnu to Brahma. Brahma then broadcast the message to the demigods. That is the system of receiving Vedic knowledge. The Vedic knowledge is received first by Brahma from the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of the heart. As stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Tene Brahma Rida Yaadi Kavaye. The transcendental knowledge of the Vedas was transmitted to Lord Brahma through the heart. Here also in the same way, only Brahma could understand the message transmitted by Lord Vishnu, and he broadcasted it to the demigods for their immediate action. The message was this: the Supreme Personality of Godhead would appear on the earth very soon, along with his supreme powerful potencies, and as long as he remained on the earth planet to execute his mission of annihilating the demons and establishing the devotees, the demigods should also remain there to assist him. They should all immediately take birth in the family of the Yadu dynasty, wherein the Lord would also appear in due course of time. The Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna, would personally appear as the son of Vasudeva. Before his appearance, all the demigods, along with their wives, would appear in different families in the world just to assist the Lord in executing his mission. The exact word used here is tat priyartam, which means the demigods should appear on the earth in order to please the Lord. In other words, any living entity who lives only to satisfy the Lord is a demigod. The demigods were further informed that Ananta, the plenary portion of Lord Krishna, who is maintaining the universal planets by extending his millions of hoods, would also appear on the earth before Lord Krishna's appearance. They were also informed that the external potency of Vishnu, Maya, with whom all the conditioned souls are enamored, would also appear by the order of the Supreme Lord, just to execute his purpose. His purpose, Bhagavad Gita states, and we heard just here, Paritranaya Sarunam Vinashaya Chaduskritam Dharma Samstarpanartaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata Abhutanam Adharmasya Tadatmanam Srajamyaham. Whenever there is a rise of irreligion and a lowering of religiosity, Krishna appears in order to annihilate the demons, Vinashaya Chaduskritam, and deliver the pious. Yadade Veshu, Vedeshu, Goshu, Vipreshu, Sadhushu, Dharmamayi Chavidvesha, Sava Asu Vanasyati. Lord Krishna told the demigods, I think it was, when they went because of the destruction that was taking place by Hiranyakasipu, And he said, Yanadeveshu Vedeshu. Whenever there is envy of the demigods, of the Vedic literatures, Goshu, of the cows, Vipreshu, of the Brahmins, Sadhushu, of the saintly persons, Dharma, of religiosity, Mayi, and ultimately Krishna said, of me, Sava Asu Vinasyati. Very soon, that personality and that civilization shall be destroyed. Sava Asu Vinasyati. The same word, Vinasyati. So, it's not that anyone can get away with anything. It is all being recorded. And because of all of these sinful, envious activities, Krishna comes, or by his energy, he will destroy those demoniac personalities. He came and personally destroyed big demons, and he can destroy little demons with one shot from North Korea, or from United States, for that matter. Nowadays they're talking nuclear war. Just today, North Korea and America. Such fools, but this is the karma. This is Krishna. You cannot get away with killing cows. You cannot get away with being envious of the saintly persons. You cannot get away with being envious of Vedic literatures. Sava asu vinasyati. After instructing and pacifying all the demigods as well as Bhumi with sweet words, Lord Brahma, the father of all Prajapatis, or progenitors of the universal population, departed for his own abode, the highest material planet called Brahmaloka. The leader of the Yadu dynasty, King Surasena, was ruling over the country known as Mathura, wherein lies the city of Mathura, as well as the district known as Surasena, which was named after him. On account of the rule of King Surasena, Mathura became the capital city of all the kings of the Yadus. Mathura was also made the capital of the kings of the Yadu dynasty because the Yadus were a very pious family and knew that Mathura is the place where Lord Sri Krishna lives eternally, just as he also lives in Dwarka. Once upon a time, Vasudev, the son of Surasena, just after marrying Devaki, was going home on his chariot with his newly wedded wife. The father of Devaki, known as Devaka, had contributed a sufficient dowry because he was very affectionate towards his daughter. He had contributed hundreds of chariots completely decorated with gold equipment. At that time, Kamsa, the son of Ugrasen, in order to please his sister Devaki, had voluntarily taken the reins of the horses of Vasudev's chariot and was driving. According to the custom of the Vedic civilization, when a girl is married, the brother takes the sister and brother-in-law to their home. Because the newly married girl may feel too much separation from her father's family, the brother goes with her until she reaches her father-in-law's house. The full dowry contributed by Devaka was as follows: 400 elephants, fully decorated with golden garlands, 15,000 decorated horses, and 1,800 chariots. He also arranged for 200 beautiful girls to follow his daughter. The Kshatriya system of marriage, still current in India, dictates that when a Kshatriya is married, a few dozen of the bride's young girlfriends, in addition to the bride, go to the house of the king. The followers of the queen are called maidservants, but actually they act as friends of the queen. This practice is prevalent from time immemorial, traceable at least to the time before the advent of Lord Krishna 5,000 years ago. So Vasudeva brought home another 200 beautiful girls along with his wife Devaki. While the bride and bridegroom were passing along the chariot, there were different kinds of musical instruments played to indicate the auspicious moment. There were conch shells, bugles, drums and kettle drums. Combined together, they were vibrating a nice concert. The procession was passing very pleasingly, and Kamsa was driving the chariot, when suddenly there was a miraculous sound vibrated from the sky, which especially announced to Kamsa, "Kamsa, you are such a fool. You are driving the chariot of your sister and your brother-in-law, but you do not know that the 8th child of the sister will kill you." So here it says that when the chariot was coming, there were all kinds of musical instruments for chanting, conch shells, bugles. I don't see saxophone, but bugles. Drums and kettle drums, drum kits, cellos, maybe. Kamsa was the son of Ugrasen of the Bhoja dynasty. It is said that Kamsa was the most demoniac of all the Bhoja dynasty kings. Immediately after hearing the prophecy from the sky, he caught hold of Devaki's hair and was just about to kill her with his sword. Vasudeva was astonished at Kamsa's behavior, and in order to pacify the cruel, shameless brother-in-law, he began to speak as follows with great reason and evidence. He said, "My dear brother-in-law Kamsa, you are the most famous king of the Bhoja dynasty, and people know that you are the greatest warrior and a valiant king. How is it that you are so infuriated that you are prepared to kill a woman who is your own sister at this auspicious time of her marriage? Why should you be so much afraid of death? Death is already born along with your birth. From the very day you took your birth, you began to die. Suppose you're 25 years old, that means you've already died 25 years. Every moment, every second, you are dying. Why then you should be so much afraid of death? Final death is inevitable. You may die either today or in 100 years. You cannot avoid death. Why should you be so much afraid? Actually, death means annihilation of the present body. As soon as the present body stops functioning and mixes with the 5 elements of material nature, the living entity within the body accepts another body according to his present actions and reactions. It is just like when a man walks on the street, he puts forward his foot, and when he is confident that the foot is situated on sound ground, he lifts the other foot. In this way, one after another, the bodies change and the soul transmigrates. See how the plant worms change from one twig to another so carefully? Similarly, the living entity changes his body as soon as the higher authorities decide on his next body. There's verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Karmana Daivani Trena Jantur Deho Upapataye Striya Pravishta Udaram Pumsa Reta Kanashraya. That according to one's karma Daiva, and the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Karmana Daiva Netrena, Jantur Deho Upapataye. One has to accept a particular body, be born in a particular womb of a particular mother. Jantur Deho Striya Pravishta Udaram Pumsareta Kanashraya. This is the system of reincarnation. This is the actual scientific fact. As a living entity is conditioned within the material world, he must take material bodies one after another. His next particular body is offered by the laws of nature according to the actions and reactions of this life. The body is exactly like one of the bodies which we always see in dreams. During our dream of sleep, we create so many bodies according to mental creation. We have seen gold, and we have also seen a mountain. So in a dream, we can see a golden mountain by combining the two deities. Sometimes in dreams, we see that we have a body which is flying in the sky, and at that time we completely forget our present body. Similarly, these bodies are changing. When you have one body, you forget the past body. During a dream, you may make contact with so many new kinds of bodies, but when we are awake, we forget them all. And actually, these material bodies are the creations of our mental activities. But at the present moment, we do not recollect our past bodies. The nature of the mind is flickering. Sometimes it accepts something and immediately it rejects the same thing. Accepting and rejecting is the process of the mind in contact with the 5 objects of sense gratification: form, taste, smell, sound, and touch. In its speculative way, the mind comes in touch with the objects of sense gratification. And when the living entity desires a particular type of body, he gets it. Therefore, the body is an offering by the laws of material nature. The living entity accepts a body and comes out again into the material world to enjoy or suffer according to the construction of the body. Unless we have a particular type of body, we cannot enjoy or suffer according to our mental proclivities inherited from the previous life. The particular type of body is actually offered to us according to our mental condition at the time of death. So, Srila Prabhupada stated, or at least he was quoted in the Back to Godhead magazine, that not everyone may be to your liking, because there are so many bodies and so many mental conditions. One person may be in the mode of passion, one person may be in a mode of goodness and passion, one person may be a little bit ignorance, but it was said, just like when you're on a plane, I think Prabhupada used boat. When one is on a plane, you have to tolerate the people sitting next to you and behind you. By Krishna's arrangement, I always have someone like our little boy, 2, 3-year-old, behind me. Every flight, my karma, kicking my seat for the entire, we go to New York, 5 hours, all-night flight, all night kicking and crying. So one has to tolerate and excuse. You cannot choke the kid. The marshal will come and arrest you on the plane, or they'll stop the plane and throw you off. You have to tolerate and excuse. So in this world, everyone may not be to our liking. Sometimes there is a person in this mode, that mode. But as Vaishnavas, we tolerate and excuse. That is called kshama. Tolerate and excuse. It's one of the great austerities of being a devotee, We are mixed in with people of all cultures who we never associated with before, and we probably would never associate as mundane personalities. But to spread Krishna consciousness, we may see some good qualities, some not so good quality, but we tolerate and excuse, and we're tolerated and excused. I remember I first joined, and one senior devotee came up to me and said, "Why did you join ISKCON?" I thought it was a trick question. I said, "Because I love Prabhupada and Prabhupada's books and Krishna consciousness." He said, "No, how come a person like you would join Krishna consciousness?" And I thought I was like everybody else, more or less. But according to this individual, I wasn't. So I realized not only I have to tolerate and excuse, but so many people are tolerating and excusing me. We have to think like that. We're not something that special. People are tolerating and excusing. Myself, when I came to the movement, shortly thereafter I met Naikatma and Savas. And I thought these guys would be my best friends in the material world. I went through Denver and we ate prasadam and talked about Krishna and Sankirtan for hours and hours. But I met other people in my travels that I was a little bit shocked. One time I met a boy in our movement. He wore a harmonica holder, and inside the harmonica holder he had a beautiful picture of Radha and Krishna. He wouldn't look at anybody. He'd only look all day, every day, at Radha and Krishna. I thought it was a little bit fanatic, but we tolerated this saintly guy who wanted to see Krishna 24 hours. Prabhupada said, "See Krishna 24 hours." I guess that was his way of seeing Krishna 24 hours. Keep a picture right there. He might have gone, a little blind, but there was a picture 3 inches from his face. So it takes all types in Krishna consciousness. And as devotees, one of our major duties and our major austerities and penance is to tolerate and excuse. That we're have a mission by our spiritual master. And that mission isn't, I accept this, I reject that. I want this, I don't want that. That's mundane, accepting and rejecting. Krishna conscious person accepts. The spiritual master says, "You stay in this ashram with these people," and we reject being with non-devotees. We accept what is favorable for Krishna consciousness and reject that which is unfavorable. This is an important point. The nature of the mind is flickering. Sometimes it accepts something and immediately rejects the same thing. Accepting and rejecting is the process of the mind in contact with the 5 objects of sense gratification: form, taste, smell, sound, and touch. In its speculative way, the mind comes in touch with the objects of sense gratification. And when the living entity desires a particular type of body, he gets it. Therefore, the body is an offering by the laws of material nature. The living entity accepts the body and comes out again into the material world to enjoy or suffer, according to the construction of the body. Unless we have a particular type of body, we cannot enjoy or suffer according to our material proclivities inherited from previous life. The particular type of body is actually offered to us according to our mental condition at the time of death. Luminous planets, like the sun, moon, or stars, reflect themselves in different types of reservoirs, like water, oil, or ghee. The reflection moves according to the movement of the reservoir. The reflection of the moon is on the water, and the moving water makes the moon also appear to be moving. But actually, the moon is not moving. Similarly, by mental concoction, the living entity attains different kinds of bodies, although actually he has no connection with such bodies. But on account of illusion, being enchanted by the influence of Maya, the living entity thinks that he belongs to a particular type of body. That is a way of conditioned life. Suppose the living entity is now in a human form of body. He thinks that he belongs to the human community, or a particular country, or a particular place. He identifies himself in that way and unnecessarily prepares for another body which is not required by him. Such desires and mental concoctions are the cause of different types of body. The covering influence of material nature is so strong that the living entity is satisfied in whatever body he gets, and he identifies with that body with great pleasure. Therefore, I beg to request you not to be overwhelmed by the dictation of your body and mind. This is Vasudeva speaking to Kamsa, his new brother-in-law. The philosophy of Krishna consciousness, giving the reason for him not to kill his sister Devaki. Vasudeva thus requested Kamsa not to be envious of his newly married sister. One should not be envious of anyone. Nirmat saranam satam, Srimad Bhagavatam states. Nirmat saranam satam. One should not be envious of anyone, because envy is the cause of fear both in this world and the next. When one is before Yamaraj, the Lord of punishment after death, let me read that sentence one more time, I'm sorry. One should not be envious of anyone, because envy is the cause of fear both in this world and in the next. When one is before Yamaraj, the Lord of punishment after death. Vasudeva appeared to Kamsa on behalf of Devaki, stating that she was his younger sister. She also appealed at an auspicious moment at the time of marriage. A younger sister or brother is supposed to be protected as one's child. The position is overall so delicate. Vasudeva reasoned that if you kill her, it will go against your high reputation. In this way, Vasudeva tried to pacify Kamsa by good instruction as well as by philosophical discrimination. But Kamsa was not to be pacified because his association was demoniac. Because of his demonic association, he was a demon, although born in a very high royal family. A demon never cares for any good instruction. He is just like a determined thief. One can give him moral instruction, but it will not be effective. Similarly, those who are demonic or atheistic by nature can hardly assimilate any good instruction, however authorized it may be. That is the difference between demigods and demons. Those who can accept good instruction and try to live their lives and in that way are called demigods. And those who are unable to take such good instruction are called demons. Failing in this attempt to pacify Kamsa, Vasudeva wondered how he would protect his family, his wife, Devaki. When there is imminent danger, an intelligent person should try to avoid the dangerous position as far as possible. But if in spite of endeavoring by all intelligence, one fails to avoid the dangerous position, there is no fault on his part. One should try his best to execute his duties But if the attempt fails, he is not at fault. Vasudeva thought of his wife as follows. For the present, let me save the life of Devaki. Then later on, if there are children, I shall see how to save them. He further thought, if in the future I get a child who can kill Kamsa, just as Kamsa is thinking, then both Devaki and the child will be saved because the law of providence is inconceivable. But now, some way or other, let me save the life of Devaki. There is no certainty how a living entity contacts a certain type of body, just as there is no certainty how blazing fire comes in contact with a certain type of wood in the forest. When there is a forest fire, it is experienced that the blazing fire sometimes leaps from one tree and catches another by the influence of the wind. Similarly, a living entity may be very careful in the manner of executing his duties, but it is still very difficult for him to know what type of body he is going to get in the next life. Maharaj Bharat was very faithfully executing the duties of self-realization, but by chance he developed temporary affection for a deer, and in his next life he had to accept the body of a deer. Vasudeva, after deliberating how to save his wife, began to speak to Kamsa with great respect. Although Kamsa was the most sinful man, sometimes it happens the most virtuous person like Vasudeva has to flatter a person like Kamsa, a most vicious person. That is the way of all diplomatic transactions. So even Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada is giving us the science of diplomacy. That there was a lecture Prabhupada had given, I think it was in London, to the book distributors. Flatter them 100 times like anything. You're so wonderful, you're so great, you're so amazing. Let me give you this book. So this is diplomacy. They're not wonderful, they're not great. Srimad Bhagavatam tells us, Yasyasti bhakti bhagavatir akinchana sarvairstatat samasate Sura. That there's no good qualities in those that are not devotees. If you're not a devotee of Krishna, you cannot possess any good qualities. That doesn't mean we should walk around and tell them they have no good qualities. We have to be diplomatic and tell them they have wonderful qualities. My dear sir, my dear madam, you're so smart, you're so educated, you're so handsome and pretty. Now take this book. Now forget everything you've learned and read this. This, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out in his Krishna book, is actual diplomacy. That even though they possess no good qualities, as a materialist, don't be fooled thinking that, they're very mystical or someone is charismatic, very charismatic. That's mundane. It's charisma for sense gratification. We are interested in qualities in the service of Lord Krishna. So Vasudeva, after delivering how to save his wife, began to speak to Kamsa with great respect. Although Kamsa was the most sinful man, sometimes it happens that a most virtuous person like Vasudeva has to flatter a person like Kamsa, a most vicious person. That is the way of all diplomatic transactions. Although Vasudeva was deeply aggrieved, he smiled outwardly. He addressed the shameless Kamsa in that way because he was so atrocious. Vasudeva said to Kamsa, "My dear brother-in-law, please consider that you have no danger from your sister. You are awaiting some danger because you have heard a prophecy, a prophetic voice in the sky. But the danger is to come from the sons of your sister, who are not present now. And who knows, there may or may not be sons in the future. Considering all this, you are safe for the present, nor is there cause of fear for your sister. If there are any sons born of her, I promise that I shall present all of them to you for necessary action." Sri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. Leslie, 15. Tomorrow we'll keep reading. Also, if anybody wants to join in the kirtan on Tuesday, lead kirtan, we're going to put up a sheet tomorrow.